Hey everybody, my name's Joe Hoskins, and I'm a researcher explorer, and I've spent about 20 years in the Appalachian Mountains running through there and looking at the mysteries that I found. A lot of the things I found to a person who's become a friend of mine, but his name is Ethan Oates. And what's going to be fascinating is that he's going to give us a real account that happened to him while he was vacationing, where they had an actual sighting of live giants. So I thought this was a fascinating story, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. And so I thought we'd talk to him about that a little bit. How's it going, Ethan?
Pretty good. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, man. I can't see you too great, but
I can see you. Kind of losing you a little bit. Oh, we're losing Joe. Here he is. Here he is.
Oh.
We're losing him. Trying to get a hold of Joe. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this. I don't know if anybody's in here yet. Doesn't show me anybody. Nobody's in the live screen. Come on in, everybody. Oh, we're not picking up Joe. Trying to get there. You are. There you are. We ain't even got anybody in our room yet,
Dude,
that I'm seeing.
It only worked for 20 seconds.
So we're live.
For 20 seconds and it said trying to reconnect on my end.
Yeah, it's because of the weather. We're both having rainy weather, everybody, when you pop in the video.
Yeah, it has been raining here and storming, actually, dude.
It's been crappy weather and bad reception.
I hope that it had worked it out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not so much.
Yeah. How's your TV? You got cable over there, Joe, at all, or you got any of that access?
Oh, I just only have this iPad, and it just only comes in how it comes in, you know. And sometimes when it does like that, you know.
Yeah.
We were sitting here in the garage. I was watching the lightning, you know, streak across there. So it's been doing some shitty weather here, man. I'm not sure why, but right now it looks fine.
Yeah.
But I swear we got something going. It was like trying to reconnect. I'm like, you know, 10 sentences in.
Keeps popping.
Damn it.
Yeah, that's his weather. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. So I don't even know. Yeah, we might not even be getting reception to get anybody in here on the live. I don't understand. We ain't got nobody yet. We're working on 4 minutes here, guys.
I think it's the weather issue, because I lost my thing. You know, I would have been still talking, but it said trying to reconnect, and it blew, dropped the call.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I was. I was like, crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
right when I first started talking, man. Getting my talk on, you know?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we're going to get it, man. It's just a weather issue, I think, tonight.
Oh,
it's crapping.
Yeah, crappy weather, you know. everybody here where I
But
live.
you know what, man? We're going to get this thing right, and when we do, it's going to be a great thing. I think it's an issue that people are really looking at. Alberino, he's into it.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty awesome, you know.
yeah.
I'd love to have him say, "Hey, Steve Quayle's totally into it.
Oh,
I know what's going on."
Cracking the case.
I'd be like, "Hell yeah, we're doing it, pal."
Definitely.
It'd be awesome to have those guys get behind you, you know.
Definitely.
I don't know what they're doing now. Steve is still around, and I don't know if Timothy and him had a falling out or if they still work together or what. It's interesting, man, you know.
Yeah.
I'll put lotion on my hands. You know what I mean? Dude, my hands get dry down here near the beach, man.
So I guess we'll wait a couple minutes. And see, so far we're doing good. It's looking good, man. So far it's looking good. We're not lagging right now or anymore. So maybe we should just go ahead and start the interview here. I don't know if you're ready there, Joe.
You want to roll it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're ready. Oh, you're starting to lag now. You're moving. There you go. He's back.
Did I mess it up?
Yeah, for a second.
Can you see me now? See, you sort of look fuzzy. Hold on.
Yeah, I see you perfect. As long as they can see me and you, and I see you and me perfect right now. As long as you ain't lagging.
Okay.
We might have to put this video under bloopers. The bloopers.
No kidding.
Bad weather bloopers, man.
Well, this thing keeps jumping back and forth. I'm trying to understand the screen's size.
Yeah.
There, it's back big, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sit still and not do nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. What do you think? Is it holding it together?
Yeah. Yeah, we might as well start the show. I mean, if it lags out, Joe, you know, we're both having bad weather, everybody. We said it just a minute ago, but I'm just repeating it in case anybody's popping in. We do have a few people in here, Joe. So Joe can't see the screen like I can up close. So we're just going to start the show. If it lags, then we'll start off where we left off.
Yeah.
Okay, if you can hear me or
not. Got you, brother. You're a little worried, but we're trying to fight the bad weather.
Okay.
We're rolling the truth out anyway. My name's Joe Hoskins, and I'm a researcher explorer, and I'm coming to talk to you today with my good buddy Ethan Oates about a live sighting that he had where he was on vacation and had no idea this would happen, but they ended up having this fantastic sighting where they actually saw live giants while they were vacationing on Solomon's Island. And of course, when we get into the lore there in Solomon's Island, there's a lot of lore that talks about giants being on that island, going right back to the Second World War where they talked about encountering them. So, and Ethan took time to talk to some of the people there who would, after their chief first had talked about this issue, they would talk about it. And so they held him things that maybe not everyone would hear, and one of the things they talked about on the island. So, and it was just a deadly serious subject where other people might think, well, that's silly. They just openly talked about it as a truth. So I thought that was really interesting. And today we'd like to hear him tell some of his story about what happened and how that fantastic sighting unfolded.
All
And
right.
here's my buddy Ethan.
You ready for the?
Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Joe. I can hear you just fine.
Right on, man.
I'll start. I'll let everybody know. Start the story. Of course, a lot of people know me as adult entertainer, TV actor. I have a series that's on TV all the time. It's my series has been on TV, so I'm trying to explain who I am. I'm a well-known celebrity actor in the adult field. I run a comedy show. Uh, um, I never believed in Bigfoot. I never believed in giants, anything like that before. Never thought of it. And then I like to take a lot of my money and show off. I like to buy fancy stuff. You know, I was a show off, gold, jewelry. I just fancy stuff. And I go on trips all the time. And we used to go to Hawaii a lot until Hawaii caught on fire. We used to go to different places, and I go with a lot of friends. Big social, stuff. And we, a friend of mine decided and asked me if I wanted to go to Solemn's Island. And I said, Solemn's Island, that's pretty far. And she told me that it was paradise, beyond paradise, beauty, beautiful beaches, beautiful water. I mean, she just kept bragging about it. She also told me, coconut. She just was bragging about it. So I was like, oh, this sounds great. This sounds beautiful. She wanted to bring her girlfriend with her. I was fine with that. More people, the better. So we started our journey, and we got passports, and went through the whole system of planning this trip. We went last February of 25, and it was a long trip, very long plane flights. One where you're like, are we ever going to get there? It like drags out. Just the journey to get there drags out because you're excited to get there, but it's more of a like, come on, let's just get there. And so we got to, we finally got to Solemn's Island. And when we got to Solemn's Island, we were in the main town of Solemn's Island. And it was kind of clustered, and it's not like Paradise Beach, and it's not what she showed me. It wasn't what she thought. And so
not what you think.
Yeah, so she was talking to a boat guy down at the dock, and I guess he does like boat tours. And he told her that he knows some areas that we could go that were private, that were more tropical and paradise, what we were looking for. At that point, we already had a motel that we paid to get into because we were tired. We got there, we didn't know what to do. So we just left the motel. We didn't even get a refund. We just took our shit and left and turned the key, and we just left. The guy took us down about halfway, a quarter to halfway down Solemn's Island. He drove out to sea, which I thought was pretty funny, and we weren't close to the island. Maybe it's because of reefs. I don't know. Or what is on the island. And so when he drove down a ways, and then he drove out a ways, drove down a ways, and then came back in. And we ended up in a village. He pulled the boat up. These natives came out. Tribal people came out and helped pull the boat up. He got off the boat. He walked into the village, told us to hold on. He came back with the chief of the village, and he helped us get off the boat, and no charge to stay there. No charge to stay there, just to pay him to take us there. And we had to arrange to get picked back up in a couple days. A certain time he gave us that he would be there to pick us up. No cell phones working at all. You could take a picture, you could
Wow.
take, you could use your phone, but you didn't, no reception, period. And I got
You can take a picture, but there's no satellite service, right?
And I got an expensive phone. My friend's got an expensive phone. Her friend's got an expensive phone. Different, phones, and I'm like, okay, nobody's got reception. It's just no reception at all. So at that point, we were like, okay, this is cool. And the chief and the tribal people were just so wonderful and nice. And the men were just interested in us. And they would touch you like that and go like that and look at your shirt. The men would touch me and go like that and look at my shirt.
Yeah.
And one went like that. And I just looked at him and, I didn't yank away. And he was looking at my necklace. They were scoping us out.
Wow.
The females were looking over the females. It was kind of funny because I really didn't have females looking over me. I had a female put a flower in my ear. She stuck a flower in my ear. Beautiful flower, man. So I just left it there. You know what I mean? For the moment.
So it sounds like it's literally like a movie moment where these tribal people come out.
And they just come right out and
encounter them, and they're just like checking you out, looking at all of your stuff, which comes from the city, or whatever.
Yes.
Driven out on that.
Yeah. So
that's wild.
It was wonderful. And they were trying to hand us little fruit things and to the women were handing little fruit things to the women.
Welcoming you in. That's
awesome.
And
the men were just all so nice, man. And the chief was having total conversation with me. The tribal people there were dressed with like the hay looking skirt kind of deal and looking totally tribal. And the chief didn't. He had a shirt and shorts on and no shoes. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And he looked more, and he talked,
so the chief's just wearing some shorts and a shirt. Just chilling.
And he talked more proper.
Right.
In language where you could understand him, to where some of the tribal people you couldn't understand. You just, but some you could. Some things they did say.
I've seen footage of the chief talk, and he's very well spoken and obviously very intelligent. He's no dummy. You know what I mean? Very intelligent dude.
Yeah, you've seen videos of the interview. Very respectful man.
Yeah, I saw those videos.
He talks about on the interview how giants attack his village, and he's in charge to repair that village. And I mean, he talks a lot of stuff, and he, that's another thing that's, if anybody was to hear anybody's story, even my story, it happened to me, and it really put a toll on me, and it was really hard to soak this all in. But when you listen to a chief of a village that lives there and telling you this is a daily thing, and I mean, that's the most evidence of all. You know what I'm saying? That's the most evidence of all, that there's giants there. And so so I'll get back to the story.
I agree.
It just, to me, it's the most evidence that he's lived there his whole life. His father was a chief. He explains it all in the interviews, and it's phenomenal, and it's evidence right there. And he tells you there's hairy giants that go invisible, and there's several different giants. And he also talks of he has to go.
Very interesting point, in my opinion.
Yes,
they can go invisible.
Yeah, and he
talked about it being 20 feet tall, hairy giants. These aren't 8 foot. These aren't 8 foot Bigfoot size. These are huge, hairy giants that can turn invisible. Per the chief, who would be someone I would listen to in the matters like this. What comes to someone that lives there, When you stop and think about it, let's just stop and think about Solomon's Island. It's the biggest of the islands is really, it's it's a very large island, but at the same time, it's again an island. And so what you got to realize is that all the things on this island only have so much room to exist. Now, when you start talking about a bunch of big things existing on an island, it's really, along with people, it's really just a matter of mathematics before you realize they're going to run into each other.
And it's
so the
it's
fact that these villagers openly talk about giants, to me, is very much a piece of hard evidence that need not be overlooked. In my opinion, that's just deadly heavy evidence showing that this is a reality.
Yes.
It's not just
so
a fairy tale.
I didn't know any of that at first. You know what I mean? Or I wouldn't have never went there. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea until after the interview of the chief about that. When we arrived there, everybody was great. I'll kick back where I was. We learned a lot of stuff about their culture. We learned how they were living, what they were doing, what they were eating. It was very interesting to me. I thought, I find other cultures and stuff interesting. And different things I find interesting. I mean, it's a learning process and of life. We all do, so it's so I'm like, okay. And, so we're learning and I'm asking questions. And so the evening starts to come on. And so the chief, he's got a fire going. And, you're sitting there at the fire and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And you kick back and you look and you got these native people around you. And you're just like, this is like straight up out of a movie, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is too cool. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, this is cool. This is like the best camping trip I've ever been on, I'm thinking, And so
glad you stayed out of the city on this.
Yeah. So at that point, the chief starts to tell stories. And I'm like, okay. And he's talking about his ancestors and stuff. Well, one of my friends has to go. My friend's friend has to go to the bathroom. So they take off. They pop up. My friend's standing up, watching her go over to the tree line. It's not dark yet. It's still like, it's before dark, sun's going down. But if you go near the woods, it's getting dark. You know how woods always hold the darkness. So sundown's coming in, so it's starting to get dark. And, all of a sudden she comes back screaming. And I hear a squeal noise. I turn my head. My friend's already, she sat down, but she jumped back up and she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Is it a snake? And she's like, no. She's like, there's a skull over there. And I'm like, there's a skull over there. And I instantly bent my head. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, there's a skull over there. And so my friend's like, oh my God. And the chief's like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then we look at him and we're thinking, what? This is creepy, man. And so we're looking at him and we're thinking, what? And then, he's like, he starts to tell us that they place skulls around the village. And so I'm like, well, why do they place skulls around the village? And so he tells me that they place skulls around the village to warn the forest is alive and to warn it off. And so I'm like, what do you mean the forest is alive? So now I'm wanting to know. He's not telling me right away, but he's like leading me there or something to keep, to make me wonder or something. What are you talking about, man? And so at that point, I'm like, well, what do you mean the forest is alive? So then he looks at my friend and tells her, don't go to the bathroom over there. We have a place that you can go to the bathroom at. And that it's dangerous to go over into the woods by yourself. And so we okay. And so I thought that was okay. I wasn't going to ask nothing on it. But my friend goes, why is it dangerous to go in the woods? And why is the forest, what's alive in the forest? And so her friend, of course, is like, oh, probably snakes. You know, she's just mumbling. And the chief says, we have giants here. And we're like, what? And he said, the skulls are there to warn the giants off. And we're like, uh-huh. And so my friend instantly curls up. My friend's friend curls up, and she's already got the creeps. She's already wanting to go home. She's scared. Yeah, she's scared already. And I'm like, look at her. I'm looking at the chief. I'm thinking, okay, when's the joke coming out? When's he gonna crack up? When's he gonna laugh? You know what I mean? I'm like a campfire scary thing. Like how people do at campfires. They sit down, tell scary stories, or, you know.
Right, here's the campfire story. We'll laugh about
it. So the questions kept rolling, man. I kept thinking questions. I kept asking them. You know, my friend kept asking questions. Her girlfriend was scared as could be. We were just like, what? You know? He told us that not to go in the woods to go to the bathroom, the place over there to go to the bathroom. You know, he told us about his a past, about his you know, his father used to be the chief of that village, and the headhunters killed him. And we're like, headhunters? Now my friend's thinking, you know, that's what the heads are laying all around. Somebody's cutting heads off headhunters, you know, right there. Yeah, like they're at war with headhunters. And he's like, no. We don't have trouble with headhunters here. He said they use that as an excuse for people to stay out of the jungle. He said that was in the past. He said, but what is here is a lot of different giants, and they do eat people. And I said, whoa. And my friend was like, let's go home. Or my friend's friend was like, let's go. I want to leave now. She starts crying. The chief is like, you could tell by looking at him, he's feeling bad. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what did I do? You know what I mean? So at that point, I thought, Joe, now the joke's going to come out. Now he's going to say, I'm just playing, you know, or, you know, it's part of the plan to creep you out, or he didn't. You know, he said, I'm sorry that you don't like that. But that's the way it is here. And I'm just like, oh my God. So she's wanting to walk down the beach. Amazing. My friend's telling her, you can't go nowhere. We don't have the phone don't work. The man is not going to come pick us up till Sunday at this time. Yeah. We're like, wow, you know? So she's freaking out. So, you know, at the same time, we have native men standing around, and some have spears in their hands, Joe. And I'm like, you know, and they're standing kind of back a little bit, but around, and they got spears in their hand, like they're standing around watching out for shit. And then on top of it, there's a man that's about 50 feet from us with a rifle. So I'm thinking, what is he doing with this rifle? I've been watching him for a past hour or two, walk in different spots. Yeah, he's in different spots all the time with this rifle standing there. And these men are standing around watching out. I'm like, what's going on? You know, so that starts to all come together. And then you start to get worried. So the chief talks of giant skulls. I am like, what? And he says, well, if you would like to see them, my grandfather took me, and there's giant skulls, and that will show you that there's giants. And I said, and he told me that.
So the chief tells you this.
Yes.
The chief says, I'll show you the giant skull.
Yes. And he was liking me, Joe.
And you say yes.
Yes. Me and this chief were just like click. We were just like, I love that little guy, man. He's short little guy.
Yeah.
I just was like, this guy is just awesome. You know what I mean? Very interesting. Everything comes
I,
out of him.
I thought he seemed very intelligent and he was well spoken, and he spoke English very well, which it's important to realize that.
Yes.
How many languages do they speak there?
He told me that there is over 120 languages there. And then I said,
yeah,
are these different people here? And he said, no. Just like that. So I'm like, where's the 120 languages?
Wow.
Now I know where the 120 languages come from. But then I was just clustered. I'm like, what?
That's a diverse number of languages for a small island chain.
Yeah.
Sure. But it goes to show you that an island chain can have multitudes of different peoples pass through it and populate it.
Yes.
And that's important to think about. Mm-hmm. Even giants, can travel, and that's something that most people don't understand.
Yeah, so he tells me
ancient peoples who were large could travel.
Yeah, so he tells me that there's a grave site that has these giant skulls in it that his grandfather took him to, and that he'll take me tomorrow if I would like to see. And so I'm instantly like, all right, because I'm thinking he's full of shit. You know what I mean? I'm just playing along now. Like, all right. My friend is like, yes, I want to go. Her girlfriend's like, no, I want to go home. I told you I want to go home. So they're going at it. You know what I mean? So, this goes on, and, so we the chief, we're like, okay, we walk off after so many hours of these stories of him telling us different things. And we go over to the beach, and we're going to smoke a cigarette because that's where we kind of designated ourselves to smoke cigarettes because we didn't want to catch anything on fire and get anybody mad or anything. So, or get smoke near anybody. Yeah, because they don't smoke, that we've seen. Yeah. So we, walk over to the hut because they gave us this like little wooden hut. It was very interesting because the chief had a house just like you see in the United States, but it was above the ground, like up on 4x4s. And it was probably, it was probably at least, I want to say 7 to 8 foot tall. You could walk under. So you didn't even hit your head when you walked under his house. And it was all opening, kind of like maybe where they do that, where that floods. So, that's what I thought. I don't know. So the little house that
sort of like a tiki hut.
The little house that we stayed in was the tiki looking. It was made out of wood sticks. The sticks were probably only that big, not big at all. Very strong. It was very creative. That was above the ground, but that was only above the ground about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet. Wasn't high. And so I'm like, okay. And so during that campfire thing we had, the chief did talk about the Chupacabra. And he told me that they are really fast. They will snatch you up. And that he did have a picture of one that a tribal member had from a long time ago that I don't know how he had the picture, but it was a black and white. It had a little bit of color to it. He showed it to me, and it was a hairy little person. And you had a face, had eyeballs, had a nose, had mouth, and the rest of them was like hair. And it was reddish hair everywhere. And he did show us that.
And they called this thing a chupacabra?
Yeah, he did. And that's what we call it over here. So I was like, okay. And he told me that also that those things go so fast that they have came in the village and took people right out of the village and stole them before. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, he told us a lot of interesting stories. He told us about a lady, a tribal lady that got kidnapped by the giants, was missing for 10 years, 11 years. She came, all of a sudden she popped up out of nowhere, and she was pregnant. And she was pregnant by the giants. by a 24-ish foot giant. And so
Wow.
when she had the baby, the chief told me the baby came out not normal. They came out giant looking, and I believe she passed during the time she had the baby, and the baby came out alive though, but it was different. It was big, and they killed it.
Yeah.
They killed it, and they buried
a hybrid baby, obviously.
And so I asked, why'd you kill the baby? Did you kill the baby? He said, no, tribal people did. And he said, they killed the baby because they don't want to breed the giants with them. Because there's too many giants on the island, and they want to be their people they are, and they don't want to interbreed that. And I'm like, wow. So, I mean, he's told me a lot of stuff already. So at that point, I'm like, then when's this guy going to quit? When is this guy going to quit? You know what I mean? Because it's scaring the hell out of my friend's girlfriend. And I'm it's just, you know what I mean? But it's interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting. So the next day, so we go over to the hut. We chat for a few minutes. We walk down to the beach and we light our cigarettes. And a tribal guy comes over and he says, hey. And I said, hey, how you doing? So I'm weary because I do have a expensive gold necklace, $10,000 gold necklace on me. And, $9,000 something dollars. I'm not going to have this guy rip my neck off or kill me or, you know what I mean? Or, who knows what he's up to. But he's one of the tribal guys that was standing around the fire. So I felt a little okay with that. And because they were all peaceful and very nice. And so he says, do you want to go see the giants? And I said, what? And he goes, do you want to see the giants? I'll take you and show you for a small sum of money, of your money. And my friend says, yes. And her girlfriend says, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? She starts freaking out. She's upset. I'm like in shock, like looking at my friend, like, because I couldn't believe she said yes so quick. And I'm just like, whoa, dude, whoa. The chief's supposed to in my mind, the chief's supposed to take us tomorrow to see these skulls, supposedly, right? So I'm like, you know what I mean? When's this bullshit gonna stop, dude? You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh man, this is some fucked up shit. They ought to charge people for this shit. You know what I'm saying? To scare the shit out of them. That's what I'm thinking. So he's like, tomorrow, a couple hours, before dark, I'll take you and I'll show them to you. She's like, yes. I'm like, no. I'm like, we'll pass on that, man. We'll pass on that. So he goes walking off. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What is she doing? You know what I mean? Her friend's just whining and going at it with her, and I can't even get in a word. So my thoughts are just like, whoa. So we walk back over to the hut. Now we're supposed to try to go to sleep. Now, mind you, when you're in Solomon's Island and you're in a village and there's jungle all around you, it is totally different than being even up north trying to sleep in a tent. You're like, what the hell is that? So it's constantly, you're like, whoa. Even in the day, in the daytime, you hear all these peacocks, and they sound like people screaming, like for help, and like they're heard, or a woman screaming in the woods. I mean, it sounds crazy. And you hear other noises. You don't know what they are because you don't live in the jungle. You don't live near the jungle. You don't know the jungle animals like you do, from the United States, So it's like, whoa. And so I can't sleep. I can't sleep, man. I'm my head's full of all that shit. I'm like, man, this guy's fucking waiting. Well, okay, they're gonna scare us.
Supposed to go to the giant skulls that morning, right?
So so I'm thinking, man, when are they gonna scare us now? Now they're gonna come and they're gonna scare us, and they're gonna scare the shit out of us tonight, and that's gonna be the joke's on you time. You know what I mean? When's it gonna give up? You know what I mean? I didn't believe in this stuff, Joe. I didn't believe in it. You know, I believed in there's possibly aliens, but I've never believed in giants, and
It's crazy.
I didn't know,
came
man.
out and told you about it.
And
You know?
yeah, so I'm like, okay, so the night starts going on. I lay there for probably about 3-4 hours of hearing constant shit noises, and I fucking can't sleep. My friend's girlfriend, she put a pillow over her head. She boggled her ears, and she was scared. And my friend, she fell asleep like no big deal. She's a tough girl. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm just like, I lay there, turn, toss a turn, hearing this, hearing that, hearing this, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Thinking about all the shit the chief has told me. I mean, because he's told me a lot of stuff. And, you know,
I'm sure half of it's like, how much should I really believe?
Yes.
You know, it's like,
and we've did an interview before, and I've told you some stuff. So, I mean, he's told a lot of stuff. So, you know, about his culture, about, you know, his family and his, you know. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, but he talked a lot about the giants, man. Different, you know, he talked about different giants there. And he talked about giants that were hairy and that they can go invisible and they're real mean and all they want to do is breed. And they're not that smart. That's what he told me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so did you ever see one of these? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, have you seen it go invisible? He's like, yes. Straight up. And I'm like, okay. Not a smile on his face or nothing. And then he told me there was 24-foot giants that his ancestors used to have to go to them to go to the king for permission to stuff. And to ask the king for permission. And I said, well, who was the king? And he said, King Solomon. And I said, was he a giant? And he said, yes. And I said, okay.
King Solomon was a giant.
Yeah.
The king of this island.
Yes.
Solomon's Island.
And I'm like, okay. And I mean, so he told me a lot of stuff. So all that's drilling all night long. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for him to scare the shit out of me. I'm waiting any minute for them to pull some stunt to scare the shit out of me. And so the night goes. We wake up in the morning time. We go have a cigarette over by the beach. Tribal guys are waving us in, coming to get us. I mean, they're friendly as can be. They're coming over and, you know, trying to get us to come walk us, you know, like that. So we go walking off with them. We go to eat breakfast. So they're cooking stuff, and some stuff was okay. Some stuff was too fishy for me, but they eat a lot of different stuff. They even eat worms out of trees, and I wasn't about to do that. So I ate some of the fish, and that was okay. A little fishy, some of it. You know, I don't think they care. I don't think it bothers them. I think they're used to it. So. You know what I mean? It's good to them. You know, to me and you, it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Put something on that. So, you know, my friend, of course, her girlfriend didn't want to eat any of their stuff really. And you know what I mean? I'm thinking, don't be rude, you know, kind of thing. But I didn't say it, you know, but I'm just wishing, hopefully don't be rude, please, you know, because I didn't want her to say anything. Oh, that's nasty. Or, you know what I mean? That's their culture. So that's what they do there. So I've even asked, you know, well, do you guys, so we sit down, you know, and we're eating and I'm asking questions. And I says, you know, do you guys, what do you guys eat all the time? You know what I mean? Because I'm talking about the food that we're, you know, eating. I'm bring up food. So he's like, he starts to tell me, and he says a lot of fish and stuff from the ocean. And they don't get too much out of the jungle because the jungle's alive, like I told you. And that the women will go in the jungle and they'll paint themselves with this ash stuff he showed me. It looks like ash. He didn't call it that. And then when you rub it on yourself, you turn pure white. I mean, pure, the whitest of white. And they cover themselves. All their skin, they get naked and cover themselves. And they go out there and they pick certain berries and worms out of trees and shit. and the native men will go with them and surround them in a big circle. I mean, like a 50, more than a 50-foot circle, he told me. And
like a protective deal.
Yes, and they surround them like that to keep the women protected from the giants in the jungle. And so I'm like, oh, wow. So now here he goes again, Joe. And I'm like, oh, my God, man. You know what I mean? You keep going at this, man. So I'm thinking this skull thing is going to be the joke. You know what I mean? He's going to take me in the jungle, and it's going to be the joke, right? So now I'm starting.
Who's going to take you to see the skulls? Is it the chief who's taking you to see the skulls, or some other guy?
The chief. So I'm thinking,
the chief.
Yes. So I'm thinking that's where the joke's going to go. So at that point, I'm thinking that's where the joke is going to lead to. We're still conversating, and we're like, okay, so we get ready. So, we're eating, and he calls some natives over, or tribal members. They come over, and they got spears in their hands. And he goes like that and points towards the jungle. He didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
These men took off, and they separated. 3 or so went that way, and a few went over that way, and they took off in the jungle. And I'm like, he's sending motherfuckers out there to scare me. That's what he's going to do. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, what's up, man? You know what I mean? I'm really thinking that, man. This man is so trustful, man, when you talk to him. It's like, in everything he says, it's just like so interesting. So I'm like, I'm starting to feel a little scared now. Like, whoa, what's up here, man? So I says, a couple minutes later, I said, he goes, "You about ready to go?" And I said, go. And he goes, "Yeah, to see the skulls I told you about?" And I was like, what did those guys go in the jungle for? You know what I mean? Because I'm scared kind of now, Joe. I'm thinking, what the fuck, dude, answer me about that before I go in the jungle. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know about this. So he kind of looks at me and smirks. I think the chief thought I was a little funny. And so he told me that he sent those in the tribal people in the jungle, that those are his warriors for the village, and that they're going to go in and make sure everything's okay for us. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm thinking, well, now my friends, like, I don't want to go. I'm not going. I'm staying here. Is that okay? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. We're like, yeah, go. I don't know. And he's like, chief's like, yeah, that's fine. You don't have to go. And she's like, well, I'll go, but I don't want to see anything. So she didn't want to stay back. She was too scared. She was scared, man. She didn't want to go, and she didn't want to stay by herself.
Too scared to stay and too scared to go.
And I'm like, oh my God. So at that point, the chief's like, you ready? And we're like, okay. And we're like, we got that feeling now. Like, whoa, what are we getting ourselves into? And at the same time.
So how long did it take to get to the skulls? Was that an hour ride, a 20 minutes?
At the same time, I'm feeling like, okay, is this man going to take us into the jungle and kill us? You know what I mean? I got a lot of money on me, man. I mean, I must have had like $10,000 in cash on me. I mean, I don't travel without having money on me. And that's one thing I always want is cash on me, because everybody takes cash. And I got expensive jewelry on. I had diamond rings that costed me, up to 10 grand and 20 grand. Some were 50 grand. I mean, I got some expensive shit I spent. So I was a flasher like that, adult entertainer, celebrity, movie actor. I was fucking flashing. And I'm like, dude, he's going to kill us. That's what I thought. I thought he's going to kill us. How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this right now? Now I'm chickening out, and I'm like my friend's friend wanting to stay back. And I'm not really wanting to go now, but I don't want to chicken out in front of everybody and look like a chicken. My friend is going, I'm ready. She's jumped right up. She's ready to go. I'm like, okay. So with that, I'm like, shit. So we get up. we start to follow the chief. The chief's got more guys following behind us. And I'm like, okay, he's got like 3 more guys just walking behind us. And he said he was going to have more guys back behind them. So I'm like, okay, there's all kinds of tribal guys in the jungle.
We got front and behind patrol.
Yeah. So I'm like, so now I'm like, I'm still, man, I don't believe in this shit. So this stuff. So I'm at that point, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to get killed. They're going to kill me. They're setting me up to kill me.
Yeah.
They're going to rob me. They're going to kill me. I don't know, man. This is not good. And they're going to take us in the jungle and do it. So I thought, I ain't kidding you. I actually thought of taking off running towards the beach and running down the damn beach. At that point, like my friend wanted to go home that way. And I'm like, oh my God. The thoughts were just rolling through my head. So we start walking in the jungle and we're hiking in the jungle. He tells us, be careful and watch for snakes. And, and so we're like, okay. So he sends a guy up in front of us, a couple feet. He's walking. So he's like, just follow behind him. We're like, okay. We come up. We walked for probably about, it must have been 35, 40 minutes in there, maybe 45 minutes the longest. Very interesting jungle stuff. I don't think it was too long. I want to say 35 minutes. And it was like real fast. And we come up to a guy, a tribal man. He's standing there on the side of the trail because we're not walking just in the jungle woods. We're walking. Oh shit! I hope we're not losing you. Okay, you're still there. We're walking on like a trail, almost like a deer trail. It's been walked. Yeah. You know what I mean? A trail that's been walked. And we come up
on this other travel ground?
We come up, the trail starts to curve, and there's another part that curves off. Well, a tribal man's standing there. The tribal man's standing there. The chief walks up to him. The chief starts talking to him. We're stopped. He says, okay, are you ready? We're going to go walk down this trail right here, and around the corner, you're going to see him. And we're like, okay. So now my heart's pumping. I ain't ready to die, man. I'm thinking all this shit through my head that you do when you're scared. And I felt like if I even tried to run, they were going to spear me or whatever. I didn't know. I just felt just out of place. And because I didn't believe in giant creatures, giants and shit. I didn't believe in that.
So the chief himself is taking you through there?
Yes. So at that point, we're like, yes, okay. My friend she's like wanting to go. She's like, man, she's a tough girl.
Yeah.
So her girlfriend's like, I'm going to stay here by this tribal man. Is that okay? And the chief's like, yeah, you can stay right there. It's okay. So she stops. She stands there. We start to follow the chief down this trail, and he's in front of us.
Yeah.
And you see skulls on the ground on both sides of this trail. And they're almost laid out like how you would lay a brick trail out. And it's starting off our size skull, it looks like. And then it starts getting bigger. About 10 feet away, walk 10 feet in there, and you're seeing skulls that are about the size of your knee, up to your knee. And I'm like, wow. So now I'm looking at the skull. My friend is just like, she's so fascinated. She's over there touching and doing all kinds of looking.
You're seeing skulls up the size of your knee?
Yes. And on this trail, as we turned into this trail, it opened up like a dirt field. No grass, but like old looking nasty, like this old looking dirt. And it spread it out like a field. And as it spread it out, you could see skulls everywhere. And so I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking at this skull that's up to my knee, maybe a little past my knee. And the chief says, that's not nothing. He said, that's not nothing. He said, and I looked at him, and my friend like jumped right up. She's like, follows him. And I'm walking, and he goes right there, and he points out, there's a skull. It must have been 20 something feet. you could walk in the eyeball of the skull, and the skull was laying down sideways, and I'm like, oh my God. And across from that skull,
you could walk in the eye socket
across
of
over here was a skull.
That's fantastic.
Almost the same size of it, sitting upward with part of its jaw in the dirt open.
Crazy.
Like that, and you could walk in that mouth. And I'm like, no, fucking, I'm just blown away. Because I don't believe in this shit. I'm blown away.
I would be. Yeah,
so at that point, I walk up to this big skull, and I knock on it, and I touched it, and I've seen,
What's
you
it
know,
feel like?
I've seen dog bones. I've seen bear skull before, a deer skull. You know, so you kind of know what a skull looks like, and it's like, this is a skull. This is, you know, because I'm thinking, is this fake? And is it cement? Is it, you know,
when you knocked on it, did it feel petrified?
Oh, it was hard. It was hard. And the funny thing about it, Joe, is when you looked around, some of these skulls had like a almost, it looked like a fungus, and it was growing down the sides of the skulls onto the ground, and it was the color, weirdest color, purplish reddish. My friend was like my friend was going to touch it. Yeah. And I'm like, don't touch it. And I'm like, you don't know what that is. And the ground by the skulls was like a rustic looking.
It's what it is it mold and lichen loves blood. And what you have there is some skulls that had blood in them. And that mold and lichen is actually living off the leftover blood residue that's actually left within the bone, which there's actually blood.
Yes.
That's hard to believe, but it's a real thing.
Yes.
When you get into mud fossils, you'll figure out that the moss loves them. Wow.
We got a question here, Joe.
In the blood.
They want to know what country it happened in. It happened in Solomon's Island. That's where it happened at. I don't know if you're familiar with the Solomon Islands.
Oceania. It's pronounced Oceania. But yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I'm looking around. I'm not going to touch this shit that's on it. Some of these skulls look so ancient old, but some of them looked brand newish looking. That's what I didn't understand. Some of them look like they still might have had something on them. And you could tell because I've came home. After I came home, I researched and, you know, looked at different stuff, and they show skulls that are real old. Yeah. You know, an old human skull, and you could tell it's a lot older than a fresher new one. So when I got home, I realized that there was fresher ones and newer and older ones as well. So
what I'm hearing you say is there were two different kinds.
Yeah, you could tell some were super old and some weren't. Yeah. So it's all these skulls laying around. So I'm like, what's up with the bone? Where's the bones? And he said, the skulls are separated from the bodies. And I said, where's the bones? And he pointed across the field, and we kind of walked that way. After we messed with the skull for a little bit, my friend tried to push it. She's like, it won't budge. It wouldn't do. You could not push over a skull that big. It's heavy. You can't do it. And so, you know, we did all that looking, and, you know, of course, she took pictures of that skull, and she's got pictures of the smaller skull, Joe. And I didn't even think to pull my phone out because I'm in shock. And I'm like, you know, what the fuck? I'm in shock. And so we work our way over towards these bones, and I see this, looks like a tree that's been peeled, but it's white to me. You know, I thought, is that a tree that's been debarked? And then it was white looking. And then when I got over to it, I could tell that it was looks like a leg bone. And that bone was probably, I want to say 20 feet long. And that's what the chief, I asked the chief, what's the biggest skull that he has seen? And he told me about a 27, 28 footer. So I'm like, oh my God. Yes. So at that point, you know, we're looking around, time's going by, man. He's not hurrying us at all. He's letting us check it out, man. Well, a tribal guy makes a noise. They make like this bird kind of noise. He makes this noise. The chief looks up, looks over. Another tribal guy signals him. He comes over and tells him something. I don't understand because he's talking in a certain language that's not English broke down. To where the chief talks of an English and you know, with an accent. So at that point, I'm like, what? What's going on, man? You know what I mean? And my friend ain't thinking nothing of it. She's just investigating, looking at everything, you know. And I'm like, oh, and I mean, skulls were everywhere. I mean, hundreds of them, man, hundreds. Some part way in the ground, some not. Some were laying on top of the ground, upside down, sideways, different ways, man. Some look like they were stacked in a certain way. So he's like, we got to go. So we're like, okay, what's going on? He's like, we got to go. The tribal, the warriors have warned, we got to go. I'm like, okay. Whoa. So we start to walk out. We catch up to where her girlfriend was standing with the tribal man. And so she's sitting there, you know, like looking at us like, oh, you know, so we walk up there. She's, you know, hugging on her friend. You know, of course, that's her girlfriend. My girlfriend, it was a friend of mine's girlfriend. And, you know, we start to walk. And as we start to walk, we get probably about, I want to say 20 feet from that area, about 20, 30 feet. And the chief turns and looks towards the jungle. And there's another part of a trail leading off. And you can see this big, hairy, looks like a bear color hair, but you could tell the hair was like, I mean, huge. So I'm thinking that's not a brown bear, you know. This thing was humongous, humongous. So at that point, I'm reaching in my pocket, pulling out my cell phone, and I zoom in like that. The chief's talking to the warrior. And I'm, you know, about that, and I'm going like that, and I'm zooming in trying to get a picture. Well, my friend was too busy dealing with her girlfriend that was scared now because she's just like, I want to go. Did you see something? And she's like, yeah, we seen skulls. And she's like, even getting worse. You know, I'm thinking, man, don't do that to your girlfriend. So we, you know, she's starting to blah, 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 and the chief looks and he's like wanting us to quiet down. And so he's like, we got to go. And we take off and we follow the chief out. I'm asking the chief, what was that when we get back? As soon as we got back, I'm like, what was that? He said it was a hairy giant. And we had to leave. Yeah. We had to leave because we don't know who killed it, what killed it, or if there was others around. And a lot of times they kill each other. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. So I'm just like, whoa, man, whoa. You know what I mean? Because I don't, man, at that time, my brain was just sinking all this shit in and everything the chief told me the night before. And I'm going, oh my God, is this real? Am I dreaming? Is this reality? I'm like, you know, I'm starting to flip. I'm starting to fucking flip out. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mean to swear to everybody, watch my language, but
so what you're saying is when you saw this thing, you didn't see a live giant. This thing was dead.
It was dead, but it must have been. It was longer than a car, man, and that's why I couldn't comprehend. And it was all black, and you could see blood all over the place. I mean, probably a good 17 feet, 18 feet spread. I mean, it was nasty, man. It was a nasty spot. Yeah, it killed, and I was just like, oh my God. So I do have those pictures, and we will release those pictures soon. As well. I mean, you can't really see the face of the creature, but you can see it. You can see the claws. You can see it's got hand claw. I mean, you can see it's not a bear. It's not a.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
these pictures.
So we get back.
Compared.
We get back, and questions are just. I'm like I said, I'm about to fucking flip out. Questions are going through my mind, and I'm thinking of everything the chief told me the night before now, and I'm just like, is this true? Wow, yeah. What the fuck are we doing? We gotta go. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I'm there with two women. I'm there with a friend and her lover, and I'm like, man, I gotta go. We gotta go. You know, I was starting to flip out. Yeah, man, I was done. I'm like, I'm done with it. I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but I'm done. You know what I mean? And I wasn't being rude or nothing. I was still being super polite and everything, but that's what I was thinking in my head. Because I was like starting to flip out. Yeah, I couldn't quit thinking about everything now. So we come back and we go back and the girls, change, do their thing. We go down, have a cigarette. We go have lunch, and then we go to have a cigarette again. Yeah. And here comes that tribal member. And he says, hey, did you still want to see the giants? And my friend says, yes. Are they alive? And he said, yes. And I looked at her, and I'm like, no, man. No, we're gonna go. We're spending the night and leaving tomorrow. And she pushed me, called me a P word, and I was just like, and her girlfriend started crying, of course, hugging on her, didn't want her to go. And at that point, I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, meet me back down the beach about 300 feet. Just walk down the beach about 300 feet and I'll meet with you, and then we'll go from there. And I'm thinking, fuck this, dude. This guy's going to gank me. He's going to gank me, dude. I seen him staring at my necklace. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh, shit. And yes.
You're the tourist. I mean, yeah.
Yes, claws. Yes, exactly. Somebody was asking a question. They do, yes. Some of them have claws. And in some of the pictures my friend took have hands like a human. It's amazing. And I'll get to that, and then I'll tell you about that. I'm somebody's asking me that, Joe. So we I'm like, I'm ready. I'm fucking done. I'm ready to go. I'm done with this trip. You know what I mean? We didn't drink anything. We weren't high on anything. We were totally normal, and I couldn't believe what the fuck we did seen already. So
no kidding.
Yeah. So I'm like, no. He walks off. He didn't even listen to me. He's listening to her. And he walks off, and my friend's girlfriend is going crazy, of course, to her, girlfriend. And I'm like, hey, man, we're not going. What are you thinking, man? He's going to cut my neck, take my necklace. He's going to rob us. This shit ain't fly. And yeah. And I even told that tribal member that. I said, hey, look, man, I don't know you. You don't know me. I said, you don't know me because I didn't want to feel funny saying I don't know you. But I said, hey, look, I don't know you, man. I don't know. For all I know, you could take me out there and kill me. I said, I'm going to leave my money here. And I said, you know what I mean? I said, if I went, and I didn't want to go. And he goes, that's fine. And so I'm like, this dude, and, he walked off. Like I said, we talked, we went back to the thing and talked for about 45 minutes, maybe. And it was all about, we're not going. I got so mad and upset at my friend that I'm like, and I told her I'm not going, and I'm telling you I'm not going. You can walk down the beach. And her friend's like, don't let her go by herself. I don't want her to go either. I mean, it was like a big kilastro. And
so here's a big drama.
So she said, if you don't go, I'm going, and I don't care, and I'm going to go by myself. So if something happens to me, it's your fault for not going and keeping an eye on me. I'm like, I'm trying to keep an eye on you. Stay here. And that didn't work, man. You can't control people. And I don't know how I could have changed that, you know, because I go back now and I think to myself,
that was just the situation.
Yeah, I really wish I didn't see what I seen, and it's changed my life. And that I wish I could go back and change something, that reaction of that. And, you know, not
it's not necessarily
and
as fun as everyone thinks.
I couldn't, Joe.
When you see something that wild.
No,
you know?
she was too insisted to go, and you know what I mean? You can't control somebody, and you know, so it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I go with her to keep an eye, or, you know, even though this shit's got to be bullshit, are we going to get killed? We going to get eaten? What the hell, dude? You can't go see a giant thing with one of these skulls we just seen. No way. I'm like that. No way. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm tired, man. I was up all night, man, listening to the jungle. I you know what I mean? I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? And I hiked and went and seen those skulls. Now I'm flipping out. My fucking brain's tripping. I'm like, I don't want to go nowhere. You know what I mean? I just want to settle down and go home. I want to start heading out of here. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? So, you know, that time goes by. She's like, okay, I'm out of here. She starts to hike towards the beach. I'm like, watch her. I'm trying to be stubborn. I'm looking at her like, she gets down to the beach and she waves goodbye and starts walking down the beach. Her friend starts hitting on me. Go, go, go. And I'm, you know, patting and hitting on her. I'm like, what? She's like, don't let her go by herself. How long have you known her? I'm like, I've known her pretty much, you know, close to most of my life. And she's like, no, go. And I'm stop her now. I'm like, I can't stop her. I can't make her do something she don't want to do. And you already seen I tried. Yeah. Well, go. And how dare you? And all this bullshit, man, making me feel under pressure and make me feel like shit. So I jump up, I take off jogging after her. I get down to her. I'm like, man, I'm going to tell you what. I'm like, if shit goes sour, I'm out. I'm like, I didn't even want to do this. And I told you that. So if something happens, and remember, I died for you. And she's just, you know, I'm trying to make her feel guilty. And she's not feeling guilty about it like that. And I'm like, oh man. And so here comes the tribal guy. And he's like, okay, come on, follow me. I said, hey, listen, man, I left all my money, my necklace and all that stuff back with her friend, or back at the village. And I said, is it okay if we pay you, you know, give you the money when we get back? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah. Make sure you're satisfied first. That's awesome.
That probably makes you feel bad.
So you know? He wanted us to be satisfied first. So I'm thinking, okay, now I'm starting to feel okay for a minute, but I'm still scared because I don't know what the hell I'm going to see, man. So we follow him. We go get in this little truck. And now, mind you, even if you go on Google Earth and you zoom down to Solomon's Island, there's not many vehicles. You will not see many vehicles at all unless they're city vehicles. Really, nobody else has a vehicle.
I have looked at that, and
so I'm like, he's got this little truck, this little beat up truck, a rusty beat up little truck. He's like, hop in the back. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. So we hop in the back. I'm nice and taking my time. She's real fast about it all. We hop in the back. He starts driving. He's driving like 5 miles an hour. I'm like, man, this is like how my stepfather used to do and shit when he was high and shit, driving his car.
Are you on an old road or what?
Yeah, it's like a dirt road, but it's pretty wide. And on the sides of it, the woods, the jungle is cleared off like how it would be on a freeway when you're driving like in an up northish area, how they keep the woods way back. Right. You know, for some reason.
But you're obviously
now I know the reason. Now I know the reason why they keep the woods back from the roads, but so they can see what's coming. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we start driving. We're driving. Hours, couple hours. It seemed like a couple hours went by because we're going so slow. Well, I'm like, she's like, why don't you ask them when we're going to be there? I'm like, okay. So I tap on the little window in the truck thing, and he opens the window. And
Yeah.
I say, hey, I said, are we almost there yet, man? And he said, oh, we're almost there, man. Shut the window right on me. I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking rude, man. Now I'm starting to shake.
Yeah.
For some reason, it just fucking changed my whole thought. Now I'm starting to shake. I'm thinking, okay, he's taking us somewhere to get killed. So I'm like, oh, fucking man. Wow. You know, I thought oh man. So we start coming around this bend. He says, just around the bend, and through the window. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm looking, I'm sitting back now, like, what's up? My friend is like, oh yeah, she's all geeked and shit. And he pulls up around he pulls off this road and onto another dirtish road. And the dirt road comes like over like that and then comes over. And it's like when you're on a freeway and you're on, doing your travels and you go like an overpass, like maybe mountainy area, Kentucky-ish or something. You're on the freeway and you pull over for like a scene site where it's got the scenery site and you're overlooking. So so he's pulling over. He stops the truck. He gets out and tells her, come on. My friend is already hopping out of the truck. I'm like looking around like, what the fuck is up? Yeah, I'm trying to see what's up, man, and soak it all in. And I don't know. So I'm like, oh man. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, taking my sweet ass time. I get out. I'm behind her. Now she's right up behind him, walking right with him. And I'm like taking my time, like, whoa. So he walks over to this ravine-ish, like I was telling you. And then it's like you overlook down. And we walked over there. And she walks up and she's like, I could see her mouth just dropping and I'm seeing her see something before I'm even there. And at that, I'm like, what the fuck? And I start to walk up, and before I could even see, the tribal guy hands me a pair of binoculars and a pretty decent, big, size pair of binoculars, maybe like that. I look at them, I grab the binoculars, and I look over, and when I look over, now I'm seeing down, because we're on an overpass. So I'm seeing down in the valley, a long, big valley, and I see all kinds of shit just moving, going on down there, like almost like it's a big festival or a war or a football game, but even huger than that.
The activity, in other words,
hundreds, thousands of something going on. So this is very fucked up. And so I grab the binoculars, I take a look, and I look through the binoculars, and I take the binoculars down to see if what I'm really seeing again, and look back again. And I thought, what the fuck? And when I did that, I took them back down and I hit my friend and I said, hey, hand me your binoculars, because she had a small pair of binoculars. And I thought his binoculars are probably a fucking trick. Who knows what? China makes China makes a lot of crazy stuff. So I'm thinking maybe they're like, I'm looking through and it's a movie and the guy's faking me out, trying to rip me off. Yes, something, man. But at the same time, my brain's trying to sink these big skulls in I've seen. So I grab her. She hands me her binoculars. She doesn't even look at me, and she's already got a cell phone out, and she's got one of those detached cameras that hook to your cell phone that are about that long, and they hook to your cell phone. And she's like this, and she grabs her hand, hands it to me, and I'm like, she's taking pictures. He's not saying shit about it. I'm like, I get her binoculars, I look, and I can see the same thing I fucking seen in his binoculars.
Now you gotta explain what you're seeing.
Yes.
Describe what you're seeing when you see
that. This is the craziest thing of all, and it's gonna blow a lot of people's fucking minds, but it is there, and it is happening, and you might not believe me, and there's other ways you can find out, actually. Like Joe's looked on Google Earth and seen for himself a lot of stuff that you could see. And
that's true.
So I hate saying it because it's crazy. It's off the fucking wall. So
Yeah.
I see giant creatures, and I can tell they're giants because they're as tall as a tree. And I can tell that tree's tall. And I see giant creatures, and I see hairy ones, and I see humanoid looking ones, and I see weapons in hands. I see fighting going on, killing each other. I see giants picking other smaller giants up, eating them, mouth open. I'm talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? My mind is like, boom.
Yeah.
I'm not even soaking in every fucking thing I'm seeing, man. I'm seeing skulls on the ground that are humongous. I'm seeing giant. They had to have been giant gray aliens standing next to Bigfoot looking hairy creatures. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
I'm seeing animal looking ones. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Can you give us an idea of the size of these giants? Like, what's an average size? Are they?
I want to say
8 feet? Are they?
I want to
10
say 20, 24 feet and up. I want to say,
yeah.
By my looks, I couldn't measure it, but I'm just saying.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes, you could see the difference in different sizes giants all together in one big open area, and they were fighting, and I was just like, what the fuck? And killing each other.
Wow.
And at that point, yes, at that point, I'm like, I'm taking the binoculars down and up, and I looked at the tribal guy, and he looked at me and smirked. And I'm just like, my mouth just opened, and he goes, you heard a noise. All of a sudden, you hear this noise. It sounds like a tree crashing. And he's like, we got to go now. And I looked at him. He goes, I'm leaving now. If you don't come, I leave you. And he starts walking, and my friend she's fucking still got her phone up, man. And I'm like, he's going. Come on.
Right.
I'm like, I'm scared. I want to get the fuck out. I don't know if something's coming through the woods now or the jungle at us or what. I'm like, whoa, I don't want to be left there. Get in the car, get in the truck, get in the truck. And she's like, okay. He's like, I'm leaving now. He looked like he was getting mad. And so she comes running. I'm already in the truck, dude. We get in the truck.
So a major sense of urgency to get in the truck.
We start driving down the road, and he's going faster now than he did. He's going normal speed almost that you would go. So we're getting out of there, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking at her, and I'm looking, and I'm just like, and I'm staring back at where we're coming from. And it's just like, oh my God, I didn't even know I couldn't even speak. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know. We didn't even talk.
Wow.
Me and my friend didn't even talk almost the whole way. And I said, did you see what I seen? And she went, of course, silly. She goes, I got 200 and something pictures of it and some videos. And I looked at her, and my mouth was just like, I was just like, and I didn't think nothing else of that. Wow. And then we go, and we eventually get back. He walks with us. He waits on the beach. We walk back to the village. We go to get some money. I come back. I'm astonished. I've always.
You're probably still in shock from seeing that.
When I was younger, I came from a Catholic family, and my mom was very Catholic and didn't want to, like, when I started to get older, I'm like, Mom, they talk about UFOs, and she's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? She was straight up.
Yeah.
We had to go to catechism when we were young, and of course, I bailed out. I didn't. Something with me, for some reason, when I was younger, I couldn't comprehend the God thing. I knew there was something, but I couldn't understand it because a lot of stories were just kind of, to me, just kind of funny. And so, I've done research as I've grown up on it, and I've came to be a spiritual man. And I've had a native friend that, of course, I seen some wild shit go down with him. So I became spiritual. I believe there's a God, but he's spiritual. It's spiritual world. I that's as far as it went. So now I'm gonna go back. So we get back to the village. We go get some money. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the closest to reality, and if this is true life, then I was just shown.
It's a fantastic story.
Yes.
Just to be able to see that,
yes.
and for that woman to have the
So
forethought to get
I walk back, and my friend hands the man $20. And I'm thinking $20. No. He's like, I got 8 children and something before she hands him the $20. Almost scared like we weren't going to give him any money. He was trying to ask for that money. And so she gave him $20, and I looked at her. I'm like, no. And I put that away, and I pulled out and I gave him $1,000. And I said, take care of your family, man. I really appreciate what you've done for me. And he looked at me like that because he thought I was fucking silly. You know what I mean? Because I was like, no, and all scared and all that. And
it's important to realize what that meant to that man.
Yeah.
That's a lot for them.
Yes, he said.
But he delivered, man.
He said, we live with this.
Fantastic.
He said, we live with this every day of our life. He said, to us, this is nothing.
Wow.
He said, so it's funny to me how you act. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then I understood that he thought it was funny of me being scared, probably, and worried and all, to where he's not meaning any harm. He's trying to show me something to make a little bit of money. And so I'm like, okay. And so we walk back, over, and we eat. That night we missed the dinner at the village. And her friend just stayed in the hut. She didn't mess around, go out by the villagers or not. She said, oh, I stayed in here the whole time. So, so she had a lot of snacks on her, that we got from Solomon's Island, main town. And so we kind of snacked out that night, but I didn't sleep that night worth of shit, because now I'm thinking there's these giants, and these giants can get you anytime. And that the chief talks about how he is in charge of repairing the village, and that they were just attacked not long ago. And I'm like, whoa,
well, there's
dude.
a point right there.
Yeah.
The
So
chief just openly admitting that these things do attack the village. And it's not good. It's never like, oh, good, this happened from the giants and it was great.
Yeah.
It's generally not good, is what you're hearing and getting there.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that.
To him, it's no big deal. It's something that happens normally. They grew up like that. It's not a shocker to them.
Yeah.
To us, it's a shocker. When he says something to you, you're like, what?
Sure.
What? And he's like, I think he was kind of getting off a little bit on seeing my reaction of, because to them, they don't have TV. They don't have radio. They don't have internet. They don't have that shit, man. They don't have that like that out in the villages. They don't have reception in the villages.
It's very primitive.
Yes. Maybe in the main town, but
I should say that subsequently, after we've learned about this story and we've done research on Solomon's Island, that you hear the story that he just told about seeing huge skulls so big that you could walk in the eye socket.
Yes.
And then you just won't believe it. But we found skulls that big in pictures.
Oh, yeah.
On Solomon's Island, right there from satellite. And if you can see a skull from a satellite,
perfectly clear. Mm-hmm.
It's big, Yes. And of course we can measure them. And I've got examples of us finding big skulls, and it's a total reality. And of course, there are people that say, "Oh, there's no proof of giants. There's no proof of giants." there is proof of giants. It's already been proven,
So
and it's a fact.
So
the fact that we see them alive is not shocking.
So we spend the night, and of course, we have
mean,
one more
it
night,
is, but
and I'm up all night again. I'm hearing every damn little noise in the jungle. I don't even know if I slept that night, man. I was thinking, man, I'll get some rest when I get on the plane, eventually, and because it's one long ass plane ride, and so we the next morning comes, and I talk with the chief for a while. And he educates me a little more on some, giant stuff and how they, the giants are there and, a few different things. I mean, we can get into it again in another interview. This is already an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah. So you know what I mean? And the fine details we've done prior videos, everybody in here, if you'd like to check them out, Joe has done another interview with me. So after that, we get home, and I'm not thinking about the picture she had or told me, and I'm just shocked. I'm thinking, I don't know, I don't understand. I'm just like, I feel like I got in a car accident before when I was younger, and I kind of reminded me of that. Like I was just out of it. I was out of it, and the whole way home of the plane flight, we didn't even really talk. It was like we were mad at each other, but we weren't. And we weren't.
That's.
I believe it was everybody was shocked. Her friend talked, of course, but me and her didn't. Me and my friend didn't talk much at all. It was like
all it means is that you've had a real experience.
It was like the Twilight Zone or something. It was weird. So I get home.
Well, your mind's processing.
Yeah, I get home. A day goes by. And of course, my friend calls me on the phone, and you got to come over. You got to come over. I got to talk to you. I said, what's wrong? What's going on? She goes, I got to talk to you. And so I'm like, okay, I come over. I can hear yelling in the background. I go over there, and the bedroom door slams, which is her girlfriend, which they're lovers. And the bedroom door slams, and I come in, the bedroom door slams. She's like, listen, my girlfriend told her mother that I have pictures of these giants. I'm like, what? Yeah. She's like, she's seen them. I showed him. I pulled him up on the chip. I'm like, she's like, you have to take this chip home. You got to take this chip home. I'm like, what? I'm like, she's like, take the chip home. She didn't even want me to look at the pictures there. She wanted to take the chip home.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, can you see stuff? And she's like, yeah. So, okay. And she's like, well, I told her mom she's losing it. She's been drinking a lot. I don't know what to do. I love her. I don't know what to do. And I don't want this to get out. And I'm like, okay. So I go home. I sit down. I'm like, I got to look at this fucking chip. I'm alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking, man, I got to look at this chip. So I'm kind of nervous because I'm alone. So I stick the chip in the computer, or out of, from her thing. And I put it in one of them chips. I stick it in the computer. It's, pops up. I'm looking, and there's fucking giants that have a head that looks identical to a fucking horse. It looks like they have jewels on their neck. This is some fucked up shit. Weapons. I was right about the weapons when I seen them. They have weapons, axes in their fucking hands and shit, and whatever else. And they have weapons. And there's giant gray aliens with fucking some sort of black robe on. And then there will be other ones standing by them with no robe on, just pure gray looking. And you can see it looks just like the gray alien they show you everybody on TV. Just like it, but it's got to be about 14 feet tall, 12 foot tall. It's huge, tall. And one wears a black robe, or the obviously several do, but not all of them. And it was standing next to a giant, hairy creature that was as tall as the fucking tree, and had 1 foot was human and 1 foot was claws, and his hands were claws. Standing next to another one of them with pure claws on the feet and pure claws on the hands with part human face. So I'm like, what the fuck? Well, I thought to myself, the chief told me that he believes that there was the tribal people of Solomon's Island believe there is a witch doctor up there in the mountains creating these creatures, is what he told me. And to me, it's looking like the gray aliens, because the gray aliens are not being harmed. They're standing there, and every other creature is fighting. They're just standing. Nothing's bothering them. Nothing's bothering them. The giant creatures have some giant creatures in their hands eating them, but they're not gray aliens. And the gray aliens are standing right next to them. I'm talking these fucking pictures. She got 264 pictures. And out of those pictures, there's probably 3-4 shitty ones. The rest are all premium. She has zoomed up ones. I mean, crystal fucking clear. And then you can, on the computer, you can zoom right in as well. You can see it crystal fucking clear. Standing around a wall. There's some sort of wall out there. Must be an ancient wall. After I got home, I looked it up, and they say there's ancient walls out there. So that's what it must be.
Absolutely, yes. I found all kinds of evidence of that.
Of course,
the
chief and the tribal man told me of ancient walls that they build, the 24-foot giants build, the humanoids, and they build them to keep the bigger giant hairy ones out, and they lay skulls all outside their walls, and when that giant comes, they raise a skull to him, and they give one of their people to them outside the wall, almost like King Kong, but they didn't say anything of no ceremony, wedding, nothing. He didn't tell me any of that, but it was so fucking close, and I'm like, wow. And of course, the chief had told me they aimed these skulls outside their village, aimed away to offer up a skull to keep away the hairy giants, and to offer them up something to take rather than coming in the village. So I mean, it all started to come together, Joe. It all started to make sense, and I'm just like, holy fuck, when I got home. And I'm getting scared because I'm seeing these pictures, and I've seen something that I don't know if anybody's ever fucking seen, and it's crazy. You know, I'm like, man, no.
You know, to put a pin in that, you're describing some amazing stuff, but here's the thing. You know, you could say, oh, well, that's just one guy's story, and maybe he's got some pictures. But one of the first things we did when we started looking at this issue was to go there, and of course, Ethan's done this himself, on Google and see if there's anything we could see. Because the first thing he thought was, these things are so big, you should be able to see them from Google.
What happened? What happened?
We're finding these things.
And what happened with
finding things that look like monsters, giants, all over this island.
And what happens with that is Joe, I lived in Arizona at the time. I was married at the time, and my wife at the time, and my ex-wife now, but at the time, her and another girl, we went hiking, and we found locks of hair, and then we found a girl's purse, we found a cell phone, and there was a pair of underpanties on the tree hanging, and we thought, this is weird. This looks like somebody pulled somebody's hair out and shit. So when we went home, I got on Google Earth and I zoomed down to that area, and I'll be damned, it looked like a fucking body laying on the ground in the fucking wash. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I took that phone and charged it up, and looked at the last number that was on that phone. And I called it. And then I said, hey, listen, man, I found this phone in the desert. He said, throw the phone away. Throw the phone away. I said, you don't even want to hear what I got to say? I said, it looks like a good phone. He said, throw it away. I said, okay. And he hung up. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm not going to throw this phone away. So I called the police department and said, hey, I found a phone. And this seems funny because when I called the last number, the guy told me to throw the fucking phone away. And they said, what's the phone number on the phone? And I'm like, the guy's number or the phone? They said the phone. So I gave him the phone number. And she said, well, if this has anything to do with anything stolen or anything like that, then either they'll call you back. And then I said, hey, listen for a minute. I said, on Google Earth, I said where I found the phone, there was hair, there was a purse, there was underwears. I said, it seemed really funny. And they said, okay, well, if this has got anything to do with anything, you know, the police, the FBI will call you or the police. If the FBI call, if all zeros call you, answer the phone. I'm like, okay. I get off the phone. About 5 minutes later, all zeros call me. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I answer the phone. It's a federal agent, and he wants to come to my house to get that phone. And he said that phone he believed had something to do with a girl that was missing. And I told him, I said, well, I said, I can tell you where we found that phone, or I could take you there, and or I could show you on Google Earth, because on Google Earth, when we got home, I looked, and it looks like there's a body on there, man. And he goes, okay, well, he goes, I'll be at your house at 2:00. Is that okay? I said, yeah. So he comes over. I show him Google Earth. He looks at Google Earth on my phone, and he's like, oh, my God. He's like, that does look like a body. I said, yeah. I said, well, he brought another policeman with him, and the other police officer he was in denial. He's like, he's looking on his phone. He's like, I can't see shit on mine. It was a different kind of phone, different pixels. He wasn't picking it up. Yeah. So the FBI agency asked him, if you don't stop, you're going to have to step outside while I get done talking to this man, because he was just harassing. Well, the FBI guy got on there, looked at my phone, looked at his phone, looked at my laptop. He was convinced. I showed him the tracks going to a fence. The fence broke down. 4-wheel tracks coming from that area to that body and that body. And he took the phone, and then he contacted me after that and asked me if I could look on Google Earth at another case that they were on. And I took a look. This was like a month later, and I took a look.
And you know, that's something that I've noticed about you. Your eyes and very good. Most people call me crazy.
I found the body, and they found the body from me finding it on Google Earth. So I'm good at Google Earth. So therefore, I said, fuck, man. The chief's talking of all these different sized giants. I'm going to get on Google Earth. I'm going to take a look myself. And if there's a giant that's that big, dude, you're going to see it, because it's bigger than a house. And houses show up on Google Earth. And I've seen a body before on Google Earth. I found one, two. So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm like, I'm going to take a look. I got on there, and I seen giants all over the fucking place. But I guess I knew what I was looking for because I've seen the pictures. So I know the creature I'm looking for. Yeah. This is the thing, Joe. If you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what to look for. If you got to put yourself in this way. If you've never seen a dog and a cat before, and somebody showed you that, you'd be like, oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God, man. Whoa. Wow. That looks funny. That looks like a trip. It looks, that's with these giants. It's, if you've never seen it before, you don't know what to look for. But if you see, you could spot it like fucking nothing. So I go on Google Earth, I look around, it's infested. It's fucking infested. You can see giant creatures everywhere. I'm talking, I found giant rats, 8 foot tall on all 4 legs. I found giant deer, 30 feet tall. I found giant bear. I found creatures, all different kinds. And you can see the ones they didn't scrub out. And Google Earth does scrub stuff out. And I've known that from working on cases. I was been told, but they weren't scrubbing where I was looking. And on Solomon's Island, there's a lot of places they haven't scrubbed that the giants keep moving. That next year they're going to have to scrub again. They're going to have to scrub again. They're going to have to scrub. They're going to have to scrub that whole island out. It's just not going to work. They can't
scrub everything, but in their defense, they have scrubbed huge portions of that island out. There are huge portions of Solomon's Island that you just can't get any picture of.
No, and that might be that might be where the chief talks of the village, because he did tell me. He said, "Oh, they got villages bigger than us. They got cities bigger than us down in the mountains." That's what he said. Down in the mountains. And I went right where the area he told me, but I went up the mountain to the patches.
Well, what's amazing is
on Google Earth where we're wore out, and there were the giants.
You know, that's what our page shows is the subsequent work that we've done on that island since the sighting.
So everybody
just take time to really look at it.
So everybody listening, me and Joe connected that way. Joe seen some of the stuff I was showing, and me and Joe connected, and Joe wanted to interview me, and we did an interview, and then we started a YouTube site together, which that's where we're at here hosting. And we're continuing to research, and we are going to be releasing these pictures soon. We're just trying to see what people can handle. We put out a lot of Google Earth pictures where you can see giants perfectly clear, and a lot of people see it. A lot of hundreds of people do on Facebook group, but there's some still that say you got this, or you need help. And if you can't accept something you can totally see that has a Google Earth coordinates on the bottom corner that I did not AI, and I didn't make, because you can zoom right in your fucking self and see it for yourself. It's no lie. It's there right in front of your eyes. These giants are. And that is the best evidence ever, is the Google Earth, because Google Earth is not going to put a giant creature on there to scare the fuck out of you. They're not going to do that. They're going to hide that.
We feel like we've got some of the most compelling evidence on the giant subject. We've got pictures of big giants, measured big giants, caught moving, caught out in the open. I find them wearing sunglasses. A lot of people think that's ridiculous. It's really not. If you went out in the sun, would you wear sunglasses? If you don't think big people can't make sunglasses, that's just silly.
Well, you have to think some of these things are humanoid, and if we have a brain like we do, and their brains say our brain is what 6 inches, 7 inches, whatever it is, 8, 9, and theirs is 27 foot. That mother scratcher he's more smarter than us, I'm sure, because he's got a bigger brain. Even the ones that are the size of your knee, they're smarter than us because they got bigger brains. And now I'm going to tell everybody something. These hairy Bigfoot creatures that everyone's seeing, I believe by my research that Bigfoot and Sasquatch are hairy giants. And the natives used to say they were hairy giants as well. These giants are what the chief talked about. He said, hairy giants, they're mean. All they like to do is breed, and they're not that smart, and they can go invisible. And the chief doesn't have internet, and the chief doesn't know we call them Bigfoot, and the chief doesn't know we call them Sasquatch. And they live with them on an everyday basis, and their villages get attacked constantly. And so he's calling it a hairy giant.
Yeah.
He said they're ape-like, but he said they're human-like, and they're a hairy giant.
That's amazing. And you can't discount the supernatural element of them being able to disappear. And again, this is another factor.
It matches up. It matches up. I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I didn't believe in Bigfoot, nothing. And here we go. When I came home, I'm like putting all this together in my head, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's talking about Bigfoot. And I asked him,
Yeah.
how big is one of them? Has anyone ever seen one of those? And he told me that one of the tribal people has seen a 60-footer.
You're talking about the hairy giant.
Yep. And he said there's other tribal people that say they've seen bigger, even creature giants, even bigger than that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I found lots of different size giants.
Joe,
Joe,
I find this crazy, Joe, because, you know, a lot of rich people get to know things more than we do a lot of times. Well, a lot of rich people are movie makers. I know a lot. I've been in the TV industry. I know a lot. I'm a famous adult entertainer and a TV actor. I've been in quite a few movies. You have to think about it. And in some of these movies, I believe, are written off of things that they've heard, but they're not telling you the actual where in truth it is.
Sure, yeah.
You know, King Kong. This is the real Skull Island. I don't know another island that has skulls all over it, and I don't know another island that raises their skull to a big giant creature.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
makes you wonder where they get some of these.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. The movie The Thing. Yeah. The movie The Thing. You know, there is a McMurdo base. There really is a McMurdo base. You know, no. Antarctic, Joe, has a real McMurdo base. You can look right down or zoom into it, Google it, whatever. Or Google Earth it. McMurdo base. And when you zoom by that base, there used to be 2 tanks aiming at this circle thing in the snow for a lot of years until they removed it. Yeah. So, you know.
Boy, that's something I've noticed about Google Earth. I'll just say this about that. Recently, when I've been looking at Google Earth, I started looking back at the Appalachians again. And I swear they're giving you this cartoon-like image. It's just not even real. And again, these are all efforts to kind of not give you the whole truth about what's really.
They don't want to tell you. If you do the research, if anybody's watching, if you do the research, they used to smash skulls back in the day, and Smithsonian and the churches were all behind doing it, getting rid of the evidence of the giants. They still do this shit. Yeah. They do, you know. They get rid of the evidence. There's plenty of documents on it. You know, Timothy talks about it even, and some of his stories and documents. You know, I've researched and seen a lot of his stuff now that this has happened to me, and you know, I'm astonished. When I got home, I had a hell of a time sleeping. I fucking went nuts. I couldn't turn the lights off. I fucking was like, oh my God, man. Do these things know I'm here? Do they know I know? Do they know I have my friend's chip with the pictures? And on top of it, I doubled that chip 8 different times and gave it to a bunch of different people and hid it in some places just to cover my ass. Yes.
Those pictures are compelling.
And there's no way. And I've already contacted somebody pretty famous, and that's 2 people. And that we're talking about getting this out a certain way. So, you know, it's in process, and me and Joe are actually planning on going back there to get more evidence. And,
absolutely.
And it's scary, I know, and crazy, but we have somebody that has funded for us to do that. And he wanted us to create a team and do that. And it's like, oh my God. So we're kind of in
we're just trying to do the preliminary work so that we can back that up and be able to go do awesome work when we go to revisit that place. And we're going to talk to the islanders and talk to the people and just check it out and see what we can find out about this incredible subject, because I can tell you the pictures that they captured were compelling.
And the pictures we do have that me and Joe
that we've done subsequently.
Yeah, and the pictures me and Joe do have of Google Earth. I mean, you can see eyes, ears, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
My phone is actually being occupied with Joe right now. so I can't show them, but they are on this YouTube in the post area. So go after the video, go in the post area, check it out, man. It'll blow your mind.
Well,
I
and
mean,
what you'll see,
we put a lot there.
Giants, but you'll also see a lot of archaeology and some advanced.
And we do have videos where we show the giants on Google Earth as well.
What they point to is a giant race doing this stuff. These ruins are not ruins for regular sized people.
I'm starting to figure out, Joe, then this is February, and I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of research on everything that I was told. I've done a research on witch doctors, and I don't believe witch doctors are up there doing that. I've never seen a witch doctor that had power to create a being. The thing I'm coming off with is these gray aliens. I'm almost really thinking and I do have a tribal member that is still in contact with me. The one that took me and my friend to see. And I won't say no names. I'm not gonna put him out there. And I still am in contact with him. And he does go to Solomon Island town and contact me every couple of weeks wanting to know if I'm coming back. Because I told him, if I ever come back, would you take me again? And he said yes.
Yeah.
And I'm holding that, man. I'm like, yes. And so we are going to go back, and we are going to get more videos and pictures as well.
Yes, we're planning a return trip to see what we can find out, and we're excited about that. But until then, we're going to give you this awesome content like tonight, this fantastic interview.
And we'll be releasing some pictures and some video stuff before. Yep. But we're just like I said, we're waiting for the right time, because this is I want to tell everyone that's listening to this, this is not like Bigfoot. And when you say Bigfoot, I think from my research that, we here in America and maybe other countries name them that because, we hear other people name them and this and that and this, and that's what we call them. But these things are giant creatures, and they will kill you, and they will take your skull because they collect skulls. And I want everyone to know, don't approach these things that you call Bigfoot, and don't try to, and it will kill you.
Recommend that. Just simply, and there are people that go through this thing and they say they communicate with them. And hey, man, I don't know. This is a possibility, but what I can tell you is these creatures are supernatural, and they may have an ability to communicate telepathically. Now, when you get into that arena, you get into a creature that can put thoughts into your mind and therefore influence you.
Joe, I don't know if Joe uses it. I think Joe has been on Google Maps, but I've been on Google Earth. Joe has been on Google Earth too. So the pictures are from Google Earth. So all you have to do is download Google Earth to your cell phone, your laptop, and you could go right into the coordinates off the pictures and zoom in yourself. We are not here to lie to you. We are not here to scare you.
No.
For Christ's sakes, I've already been scared the shit out of. And I had to think about life and reality. And in my point of view, I'm glad that we've been separated, that our government, our countries, special agents, whatever, separate us from these things, because I don't think we'd have a fucking chance. And to watch these village people, tribal people, and tell from their heart and soul how they were scared every day of their life, and that's normal to them. I could not live like that. I couldn't imagine to do that, man. And to them, it's normal. They'll tell you it's normal, man.
At the same time,
and it's like this.
At the same time, they found a way to coexist with them.
So now, by my research, this might sound wild. And it might sound wild to Joe. And by my research, I'm starting to think that this talk of the New World Order that used to be out, it didn't go away. They just quieted down about it. It's still in process if you look it up.
Yeah,
And I believe what this new world order is at the same time, if you guys pay attention, they're building these underground bunkers everywhere. And if you think about it, if giants walked the earth back in the day, don't you think the smaller human built caves and to hide from them, like in Peru? Don't you think those little caves that hold all the animals were to keep away from the giants? Because that's what I think.
Well, yeah.
And I think they're repeating life because life is a circle. And what's happening is these giants are being created and multiplied, and they're going to take over. And they're going to start, people are going to start seeing it. Shit's going to start going down, and we're going to have to start bombing them, and it's going to get crazy. And there's going to be one ruler, one new order. That's what it's going to change to, because God is not going to exist. The God that you were taught, you're going to be taught a new religion. And Timothy talks about that. Timothy talks about that as well, Joe.
Well, I just think it's important to realize that, giants are a thing that it's a little bit different than Bigfoot. You know, you can compare the two because there are similarities, but the difference with the giants is, and you have to understand this, when you're talking about these giants, they're not stupid. It's the first thing you have to understand. The second thing you have to understand is they may have technology. And what we're talking about is an ancient race of people. And here's a news flash. The ancient race of people were smarter. And of course, we're taught differently.
Mm-hmm.
Our history that we're taught is that there were cavemen, and that's not true.
No.
And well, how do you know that that's not true? Well, I'll just tell you, it's just real
dinosaurs
simple.
And I'll tell you what,
that's not true.
My friend has pictures of dinosaurs on Solomon's Island.
Here's how you know that's not true. Adam was the first man, and he was made an adult. And Adam was made with the mind of God. In other words, Adam was created the first man, but he was created fully intelligent. Adam was not dumb.
Joe, let me stop you real quick. I believe if the Adam was real, I believe he was a giant. And I believe everyone they talk about in the Bible are giants.
I would doubt that a bit. Well,
you do the research, you do the research, you actually research, and you will find out yourself. King Solomon, they talk about his father in the Bible. And they say that his father was a king of 12 tribes. And that they talk about King Solomon fleeting, and when his dad died, they talk about he did not have no morals for it. He didn't care. He had way more powers than his father could imagine. And then you do the research, and it says he fled to Solomon's Island, and that's why it was named Solomon's Island. Shit they hide from you, Joe. Another thing, if you go back and watch Phil Snyder, he talks about how they used to bomb Bikini Atoll and all that. They were bombing these islands that had giants and aliens on them. And they got to Solomon's Island, and the treaty was up. They could not do it no more. That's why they're there. That's why
there's a lot of going on with the giants. You got to remember that they are the progenitors of many of the great ancient cultures.
Yes.
And you think about Babylon. Babylon was literally founded. What a culture that we hear about. Oh, Babylon. Guess who founded them? Mm-hmm. A group of giants called the Amorites.
Yep.
And guess how the Lord described them? Tall as a cedar tree and mighty as the oak. Amos 2:9.
Yeah.
So God doesn't joke about or make things up about giants. They really were big as a tree, tall as a tree, mighty, supernatural strength.
I believe they know. I believe they know to stay back, and if they get too close, they go in and kill them. Just like Kandahar. If you ever heard the people out there watching, if you ever heard of Kandahar giant, Well, they didn't go in and tranquilize them. Why didn't they tranquilize him? So we could see what's going on and learn and see what his DNA and everything was. No, they went in and shot and killed him, and they were told to aim high. They did not know what they were going for, but they were told to aim high. So they shoot the head.
They're also sent in with copper bullets.
Yes.
Lead bullets will not affect the giants. They don't even care about them. You have to hit them with copper. And if you really want to kill the giant, you have to behead him. Where have you heard that before? When David killed the giant, David took the giant.
Bigfoot Truth was asking, stone axes or metal axes? It looks to me like they could be metal, but I can't tell because even if I zoom in, they are detailed. They look like an older version of ours, how they have the double blades, and some of them just have one big blade. I mean, there are several different ones, man. And some of these creatures have dog heads. And that's who they're that's who these people are saying they've seen dog men. And they're kind of crossing them between the Bigfoot. They're two different creatures, man. They're both a giant. There's dog-looking ones, and there's ape-looking ones. There's horse-looking ones. And I've showed Joe pictures, and Joe's seen the horse.
Yeah.
Amazingly crazy looking.
It's really interesting that I found giants in the Solomon Island pictures with swords, curved swords, battling monsters.
Belts strapped across them.
Look like natives.
Yes.
They're out on the beach and they're battling this monster that looks like the torso of an insect with the head of an alien and legs like a spider.
So
only this thing is easily 60, 80 feet tall, and he's battling these other giants who have swords. I literally have this picture. This is the kind of things that we're seeing in these Solomon Island shots when we're looking
and on my friend's pictures. Yes.
Areas
and so me and Joe been all over this. Since I've met Joe, we've been all over that damn island. I mean, it's just constantly something to find on Google Earth. You constantly find something, and it's like whoa, and it's worse than my friend's pictures. If you look at a picture, it's like watching one of the old time voodoo movies. It is so fucking creepy, crazy that ballistic. You won't even believe it. And it's just
I couldn't believe that you described to me a battle scene. I'll go look on Google Earth. I look and pull up a scene on a beach, and I get a battle.
Joe, you know, and I've described to you, I've described to you, Joe, and showed you the interview on the chief and about how they come in the villages and destroy the villages. Joe on Google Earth, I didn't. Joe found them busting villages, giants in villages with huts being busted down, clear as can be. You can see it. I'm like, oh my God. And now here's the tipper of all, Joe. And I don't give a fudge. I'm going to put it out there. Me and Joe has researched that island so damn tight that we found that these guys that are going up there and cutting the trees down, supposedly, we've seen giants and have pictures of them carrying the logs off. And Solomon Island tribal people there and the people who live there are told to stay out of it. And the people there are we ain't selling our trees. They're stealing them from us, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
They have no idea down below. But I believe the giants are taking those trees they're cutting down, and they're cutting down areas for these giants up there to live. And they're bringing something up there and delivering it in boxes to the giants. Yeah. Fuck it, Joe. Put it out there. You caught it too, baby.
Well,
you know what I mean? They are. We have pictures of semi trucks backed up with giants unloading, and we've measured them and everything. Unloading Bigfoot looking creatures, unloading these big giant crates off of trucks. What do you think's going on? Are they being paid off? Are they being fed something? Are they being traded something for gold, for King Solomon's gold?
Yeah. Well,
something.
people shouldn't miss the fact that when you talk about Guadalcanal, which was the biggest battle in World War II, the first thing you talk about Guadalcanal, you just can't stop hearing about Guadalcanal, Guadalcanal. Well, guess what Guadalcanal is? It's a giant gold mine, and when you look at it, when I zoomed in on Guadalcanal on Solomon's Island, there was a place right next to it called Gold Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it doesn't take just a terrible genius to put together that this island may have gold. And of course, when you have gold,
it does.
You know,
King Solomon's.
all bets are off, and everybody loves
That's
that.
why these other countries want to get their hands on it, and you know what I mean. And they keep barbaging it. They went in there years ago. The chief told me his father told him that his grandfather told him that they came in there. Japan tried to take. They didn't come in there to get the gold. They came in there to kill the creatures, to get up there to get the gold, and they were chased the fuck off.
We're not saying we have all the answers to anything, but what we are saying is, man, is this a mysterious island?
And we researched the fuck out of it after that, telling everybody that's just straight up. We've been up and down and all over it. We know the government knows. We know. That's why Solomon's Island, they have a media problem. And the people in the town want to have cell phones and media, social media. And they keep turning it off on them. And because they don't want them to post lies.
Exactly.
What's the lies? What's the lies? The giants. The giants are the lies.
Exactly. No one wants to catch a live giant.
No, man.
No, Lord, let's not have that happen.
So that's what that's all about. And, you know, it's crazy shit. This crazy, bizarre shit. So, you know, anybody out there that's messing with Bigfoot, do some research on it. Go back, because the natives kind of never told. Natives usually always told the truth. They didn't hide shit. And they talk of hairy giants. And that's what Solomon's Island chief talked about. Hairy giants. These things will kill you. They will eat you. They have tribes.
Yeah.
They do.
It's just it's a foolish thing to think, oh, well, I'll go over there and march off in those woods and I'll find out what's going on. And here's what I'll say about that. I say that, but it's exactly what I do. But when I did my work in the Appalachians, and people go, oh, well, there's nothing in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's just woods, and that is not true.
Yep. Oh yeah.
There's so much terrifying stuff about everything in
you know,
Appalachian Mountains.
yeah.
And people like to make fun of that.
Oh, skipping a minute there.
I found tons of incredible finds.
Pyramids. Joe's skipping a little bit. He's saying he's found a lot of pyramids there. He's actually has pictures of the pyramids.
When you add together with our work in the Solomon, I find a correlation in giant structures.
Yes.
And I'll say this: pyramids. I find them both, as well as on the top, several pyramids. That's another thing we're going to look at. And that's why we changed the name of our site to Discovering the Unknown, because we're finding so much other stuff. So much incredible stuff that's just beyond giants. Of course, we're going to study giants and get to the bottom of that, but we're finding so much other incredible stuff that's often
the chief calls those giants there.
I couldn't pass the finds up and not share them with you.
Let's answer a couple questions, Joe. The chief calls those giants on Solomon's Island the hairy ones. And he says they call them in Guadalcanal as well, Moo. So Moomoo, Moo. He also Moo. There's also another name that I can't pronounce. I think it starts with a K, and he calls those that as well. And the tribal people throughout there call those two different names. And there is a roper there. He's told me about this creature that flies in the air that has about a 30-40 wingspan, and that the fishermen used to go out and pull the nets in at night, but now they don't anymore because of the fact that they've been attacked by these ropins. And these ropins light up on the tip of their beak or their tail or something. He told me they light up for like 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
Does it not?
It resembles the dinosaur totally. Yes, it does.
It resembles a pterodactyl.
Totally,
like
exactly, almost.
Creature.
Yes.
Yeah, from a long
and it's there. They talk of a lot of they talk of a lot of creatures. They talk a lot of different giant creatures. And me and Joe's done our research, and we found a lot of different ones that just blow your mind. It's like, no way, no, what the fuck? Oh my God. I found a lot of animals as well that were giants. And so it's kind of making sense that something's up there taking DNA and mixing them. And, me and Joe do have, a couple really important people involved. And one believes that the gray aliens are abducting people and taking people or elk or whatever it is back to certain areas in this world where they create beings. And that's where we're coming off the giant beam ship.
That's something maybe we covered in an earlier video, but
yeah, they're not. They have entity in them. They have some sort of ability to disappear. Whoever knows whatever else they can do. Because you have to think, if an alien breeded with you and an alien powers to walk through the fucking wall, would you get it? Maybe. Would you be able to go invisible? Possibility. And they're saying that this person, me and Joe know, is saying that the gray aliens are known to disappear. They're known to walk through walls.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, what's going on here?
Well, you hear people talk about being floated out through their roof. I was in my bed and I floated right through my roof. And I'm in this craft.
Yep.
How do they do that? It's a thing they can do, and we don't understand it.
We don't have that ability.
You have way too many people recounting that for it not to be true.
Oh yeah.
Linda Quartile, there's all these different cases.
Yep.
But what we're finding is just the stuff we're finding about the Solomon Islands is just fantastic, incredible stuff. Pyramids, giants, ancient structures. UFO sightings,
you name it,
just giants tearing up these villages. I've literally caught shots of that, giants carrying other giants.
Oh yeah,
this is
eating them.
This is a common thing.
They have feelings. Some of those pictures you can tell. You can. My friend has pictures that I was explaining. Some of them you look at, you see one on the ground dead. You see one pissed off. He's mad that one's dead. The other one's grabbing on the other one. I mean, you have things going on where if you think back now, my decade of age and Joe's, back when I was younger, they used to say a picture tells 1,000 words. These pictures would come back from Vietnam of people getting killed and stuff happening, and people would just be heartbroken and saying it shows 1,000 words, man. So you have to look at a picture that way and try to read what's going on. And it tells you.
That's right.
A lot of pictures will tell you.
Well, and you just have to, in today's world of AI, it's just, oh my goodness.
And Joe, I believe, you know what I believe? I believe, this is what I believe, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. I believe Elon Musk is a cover-up. This is my theory. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying that's my belief. I believe that he's a cover-up for our UFOs in this country. And I believe that he knows what's going on. And he ain't gonna say.
Well, I mean, the UFO issue is a deep issue.
And I also believe that, like I said, that these things are multiplying and they're starting to become everywhere because of the fact I didn't know this. I found them there, and then when I met this man right here, he showed me different. He showed me a lot of different places in the world that giants are, and you can see them on Google Earth perfectly clear, just like how we've been seeing them. And I'm like, holy shit, You can see eyes, you can see mouth, you can see hands, you can see detail.
Well, maybe the most surprising thing that I found in doing my research, which is 20 years deep, is that I would find giants in numbers, big giants. I'm talking about guys that are 20, 30, 50, 60 feet tall.
And a lot of them.
But 5,000 of them in a field.
Yes.
Now, people just may not believe that, but I have those pictures, and I've actually posted them before. Now, a lot of people just can't believe it, or they'll just be like, "Oh, well, you're crazy. They can't be real. They're trees. They have to be trees."
We'll post some more of them here on the YouTube.
I tell them, just enlarge them and pick whichever one you think is a tree.
Yep.
And you enlarge that thing and really look at it and tell me what you see.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And man, it's like Ethan said, once you get good at seeing something, you think about an experienced hunter and you set him out in the woods and he'll be like, "Shh, be quiet." You're like, "What?" He'll say, "You see them 5 deer? There's 2 laying down and 2 standing up and 1 over here."
You're like, "What?"
I don't see nothing, man.
Exactly.
But he's like,
he's trained himself. He learned
the shape of that deer. This hunter, because he spent time. He sat there for hours waiting on that thing to move so he can get a shot. So he's gotten very good at knowing what he's looking for, and that's what we do. We've gotten very good at knowing how to spot things. And there's a word that skeptics love to use, and when we're doing this kind of work, and invariably, when I'm doing my work, I will get some smarty pants that comes on and says, "Oh, well, you suffer from pareidolia."
I've had that happen too. And then I'm thinking, why this person, even in group room, a certain group room or something, they'll do it to you. In the group room ain't doing it to you. It's people that are coming in there, and they'll say straight up, they'll say what Joe said, and then you'll get super upset and go, you're liking pictures that are painted and shit like that that are fake, and you're saying shit on them. But when somebody posts a real picture, you fucking don't say shit because you're scared. You don't want to accept it, so you turn around and have to insult me or Joe when we have proof.
What it is the equivalent of saying to someone like a Bigfoot person who's a real sighting, that tells you, "You won't believe this happened to me, and I saw Bigfoot, and he pushed this cabin, and this happened." And what if you just said, "Oh, well, you're just crazy"?
Yeah. Trust me, I never wanted this to happen to me. I wish I could go back, like I said, to that time and change her from going.
We take every sighting seriously.
I've went through.
They have something happen. It's time to listen.
I've went through a lot of hard times, and this man here, Joe, has talked me through a lot of shit because he was already seeing stuff on Google Earth prior, and he knew about the shit. And when he helped me because I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't fucking shut my eyes, man. I had to sleep with the light on. I thought I was going to be abducted. I thought I was going to be killed. This topic of the giants is a very weary thing. There's a man I seen one on a hill on a video, and after I got home, when I did my research, and he disappeared on YouTube. So I'm like, hey man, I'm fucking around, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. And I want people to know the truth, because I know it's going to come down. It's going to come down, Joe, real soon, and everyone's going to fucking find out that shit's hitting the fan.
We're in a new age of truth, and it's time to bring the truth out. And we're not going to sit on this. I've had evidence. I've been sitting on evidence for 20 years of all different kinds of stuff. 20 years of evidence of pyramids in America, for one thing. I found piles of pyramids in America. Anybody wants to fight about that? Hey, man, you better put them up, because I've got data on it, and not just 1 or 2, a lot. And so there are pyramids in America. There's a giant culture that is openly ignored that there's evidence of it all over America, and in fact, all over the world. As I find correlations in
Joe,
the Appalachian, and in the Solomon Islands.
And I hate that they sit there and go, "Oh, these ancient giants, ancient giants." Well, yeah, there was ancient giants, but there's still fucking giants living here now.
Yeah,
and it's getting fucking infested.
They're not all dead. And here's a news flash.
That's why everyone's seeing Bigfoot sightings.
Giants are supernatural creatures, and you don't know how long they live. How about that? So,
and if you, Joe, this is a point right here. When it first came out, people were going, okay, paranormal, and then there's Bigfoot, Sasquatch, then came Dogman, then came Cryptide. That's what's going on. Is there's giants and there's different kinds, and that's what we're starting to see more and more and more and more of them. So now what's going to happen is shit's going to start going down. And I just seen on the news the other day on Google Earth, Joe, that some lady was at a national park at Grand Canyon, and she says her husband got attacked by a giant creature, and took him away, and he's missing. And they were like, "What's up? What'd you do to him? What'd you do to him?" And she's all over swearing to God that's what happened. And she's like, "I got pictures." And they were like, "What?" And they shut the fuck up. I seen it on the news, and now I haven't seen anything more about it. I'm like, you know,
I wouldn't doubt that.
90% of the Grand Canyon, you can't go in. We can't go in. And I've done research, and I've seen giants there.
What we're excited about is getting people to join our YouTube page and check out this information that we're revealing about the giants. And
everybody, please subscribe.
Get data.
We do have a lot of gifts.
You look on our page, and I'll be posting shots of those numbers of giants. In other words, shots that show 500 giants standing in a field.
More, Joe, in one area.
I don't know how many. I've also got shots of the famous red-headed giants. I've heard people say, "Oh, the red-headed giants don't exist." That's a lie. I have shots of them in numbers of them. And Ethan has seen those shots, and there's just no denying it. And so
very amazing.
We can't wait for you to check our site out. And what's our time frame?
We're gonna wrap it up now, guys, folks. So make sure you subscribe, like Joe said. We have a lot of gifts. We have the Dream Catcher behind me. I think that's at 150 subscribers. Then we're gonna pick one of our random subscribers out and ask them if they want that. And if they don't, we're gonna go to the next one. We also have a Headhunter shield. There's pictures of it floating around, and there's in the post. And we also, we have some wood burnings of some Indian natives, and we have some shell money from Solomon's Island. They have these pretty shells there that the island people use for money. And we have a bunch of that we're going to give out to a lot of different subscribers. So, yes, please subscribe, guys. Please comment. If you have any comments, leave them. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
We love to hear your side of what's going on. And, and like I said, it's been great, Joe. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Like, subscribe. Thank you.
All right.